Hello everyone, my name is Richie and welcome back to another video. Today you join me for another little bit of speculating because it's almost Dovetail Direct time. It's only around the corner, it's next week. I'm very excited and I know a lot of people are very excited for this too. So yeah, Dovetail Direct, some Train Sim World announcements, other bits and bobs as well, a bit of Train Sim Classic. I know there's going to be some announcements about City Transport Sim, whatever it's called. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. We know a few bits of information that we're going to get, and there's a lot of rumours and a lot of speculation about, you know, is it going to be a new Train Sim World title? There's rumours about a new game as well, like just a whole new project in general, because they've blatantly said that. So yeah, today I'm going to be doing a little bit of harmless speculating, you know, talking about what we could see for Train Sim World, and talking about the other things as well, like City Transport Sim, this new project that they've announced that they're going to be talking about. Yeah, seeing what's in store for Dovetail Direct next week. So yeah, let's get our tinfoil hats on and let's talk about it. So yeah, before I talk about anything, big disclaimer, right? This is all just my speculation. Nothing is confirmed. We've had a few leaks and stuff like that. We've had a few leaks that have come out, and obviously that's given us a bit of information towards some things that we're getting. So I will touch briefly on them, but not in too much detail. And yeah, let's just talk about it. And just bear in mind, this is all disclaimers. So if you've come here looking for fresh new leaks and stuff like that, you're not in the right place. So yeah, let's talk about it. So here we go, Dovetail Direct presented by Dovetail Games, August the 20th at 1400 UTC, or in plain English, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Bit of a weird time for them to do streams like that. Well, I think it's going to be pre-recorded. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a little over a week away, or well, by the time I've uploaded this, it might be a few days away. I'm not too sure when I'm uploading this, but it's not far away. It's next week anyway. And then following it, if we get some massive announcement, I am going to do a little live stream saying, you know, oh, this is what we're getting and whatever else. So depending on what happens, depends on whether I do a big song and dance about it. But hopefully it is something big, or a few things big. So yeah, let's talk about what we could see. So straight off the bat, what could be announced? You know, what do I think is going to be announced? Are we going to get certain routes? Are we going to get a new game? This and that. So let's see what I think we could see. So what do I think could be announced? Obviously, I think the next iteration of Train Sim World 5, or Rush Hour 2.0, whatever it's called. I think it's going to be Train Sim World 5. It's sort of obvious, isn't it? Obviously, the core routes, the Loco DLCs, and the release date for that. I kind of think the release date is going to be exactly 4 weeks after the announcement, so that's what, 17th of September? And I think there's some code somewhere saying that, so 17th of September I think there's going to be a release date for the new Train Sim World game. I'm obviously going to talk about the free routes that I think we could see, and a couple of Loco DLCs. I think it's going to be very much the same to Train Sim World 4's release. We had a bit of a deluxe edition, didn't we, that had 2 Loco DLCs, and obviously the free core routes, so I think they'll do the same thing this time. They're going to announce Just Trains' UK route, which I've got a little bit of speculation on. I do think they're going to announce ATS's TSW route, which is, it kind of works in with one of my predictions / a bit of speculation for the core routes. So it all kind of works together, but I'll get into that. I think we're going to get a lot more Tadami line info, maybe even a release date, because obviously a lot of people are looking forward to seeing Japan in the game. And I also think that a new third party is going to be announced, and a pretty significant one that works in a different country or a different region of the world, i.e. Asia or maybe Australia. So I think we could see something like that. As for some other games, I think we're going to get some Train Sim Classic announcements, and obviously City Transport Simulator Tram. They're going to talk about that, maybe give a release date for the console release. And then they've also said that they're going to announce a new project. Now, I don't know what that could be. Maybe that's, you know, them alluding to a new Train Sim World, maybe a new simulator, just a new game in general. So we'll see, but I'm going to talk about that near the end. So yeah, I think the key things that are going to be announced are to do with Train Sim World, potentially Train Sim World 5. But I will touch on, you know, City Transport Sim and the new project in this video as well. But it's mainly going to be about Train Sim World, because I think that's what everyone else is looking forward to, is the Train Sim World announcement. So yeah, let's jump on into it. And as I've just mentioned, let's talk about Train Sim World 5, or whatever it's going to be called. I kind of hope it's a new Rush Hour pack, a Rush Hour 2.0. That would be really cool to see. But I think it's going to be Train Sim World 5. It sort of goes with their numbering system. So, or maybe like Train Sim World 2025. I quite like that idea too. But yeah, let's talk about what we could see for that, what we could see announced, and what the core routes and locos will be. A lot of the information I'm going to talk about in this section, if you've seen my Will We See a Train Sim World 5 video, I'll link it in the description. It's going to be very similar to that, but obviously a few things have changed and a few opinions have changed since. So a bit of an overview of Train Sim World 5, what we'll get. Obviously the free routes are standard UK, North American and German. I think we're going to get 2 Loco DLCs as part of like a deluxe edition. We'll get some new game features and UI and all that sort of good stuff. And the release will be the mid to the end of September. I think it's going to be the 17th of September because it's exactly 4 weeks after the announcement. So let's talk about the core routes a little bit. What core routes do I think we could see? Well, I'm going to start off in North America like I did last time. I've changed my opinion on this one. Right, I've changed it to the San Bernardino line because it kind of makes sense. In that previous speculation video, I did say that we could maybe see the Lakeshore West line. I don't think that's going to be the case now. A lot of people in the comments sort of like said it'd be cool to see, but you know, there's a lot of licensing issues with what's it called, Go Via and Go Transit. They're not really wanting to give out licenses, so it'd be a bit more difficult. And also, we know that San Bernardino line exists and it's going to be a thing, so it would make sense that they've announced it. It's been long enough in development that it would make sense for it to be a core route. I did also see a comment that was like, well, Cajon Pass was TrainSimWorld 3 core, Antelope Valley line was TrainSimWorld 4 core, so it makes sense for the connector route to be TrainSimWorld 5 core. Kind of makes sense because obviously they all connect up together, don't they? So I mean, it'd be a cool route. I'm looking forward to this route anyway, so it'd be cool if it's part of a, you know, a bundle. And we already know that we're getting the Metrolink MP36PH for that as well. So yeah, let's talk about this route a little bit. So here we go. This is a route map that they provided in the last Dovetail Direct in like March. So I mean, this might still be a TrainSimWorld 4 route, and maybe this alludes to the fact that we are getting a rush hour pack and we are sticking with TrainSimWorld 4, so that could be cool. But yeah, this is the route. It looks a little bit linear, but I don't know what the service patterns are like. I've not looked too much into it, but I'm quite looking forward to it. I was quite excited when they announced it, so you know, I think this could be the core route for TrainSimWorld 5. It makes sense. So here we go, here's some other information. As you can see in the top left, it does say TrainSimWorld. It doesn't specify a number there. Maybe that's just the Dovetail Direct logo, but you know, it kind of alludes to the fact that, is it going to be a new TrainSimWorld iteration? Is it going to be TrainSimWorld 4 with maybe just a summer update? Who knows? But yeah, this route is 57 miles and 16 stations, and we know this is happening, so it just kind of makes sense. And of course, we're getting the MP36, the Metrolink one. I would assume that we're getting the F125s as well that would layer in, or maybe they'd sub in. I don't know how it would work, but you know, we'd probably see them too. And here's a little bit of an overview of the San Bernardino line. I mean, I'm quite looking forward to it if that's the case. Maybe if it's a rush hour pack, it makes sense because they can make LA Union really busy with all the stock going everywhere. I know that in Antelope Valley it's not particularly busy, but obviously with the MP36PHs, it could be a really busy station and it could maybe fall in line with that whole rush hour thing. But, you know, that's the route that I think we could see for North America, and I'd be very happy to see that. It'd be a very, very cool route as part of the core package. As for the German route, I'm keeping it the same as the previous speculation video and saying it's the Filstalbahn Stuttgart to Ulm Hauptbahnhof, which will include the DBBR 412 ICE 4 and DBBR 146. This could be a really good route. As I've mentioned in the previous speculation video, it's feasible and it's highly requested, so could be something we see. Just as a recap, if you've not seen that video, here's a route map. Got a fair few stations, but I think a lot of them are S-Bahn stations. This is the DBBR 412, which is a very nice looking train. I'd be very, very excited to see this in TrainSimWorld. And again, this is the 146, which we've got already in the game, which would do freight duties. It would run the Dostos, and then obviously everything that can sub into it, like all the other electric locos, and even the 218 subs in for some of the Dosto moves now, doesn't it? You know, we could see all sorts of layers on this route. And yeah, the Filstalbahn is 58 miles and 27 stations, and it has a new piece of rolling stock, which is the DBBR 412. As you'll notice, right, when I compared the three routes that we're getting, they're all about the same length and the same amount of stations, and it's kind of similar to the rush hour pack that we got with TrainSimWorld 2. So I'm thinking we could see a rush hour pack. It's just my thinking anyway. But yeah, that's the German route. And onto the UK route. Now, I'm speculating this because last time I did the West Coast Mainline Trent Valley, but I thought, well, we're going to get a rush hour pack, and I thought, well, this kind of makes sense to go with the whole rush hour theme, doesn't it? So yeah, since I made that video, I've had a bit of a think about it, and I don't know, something just tells me we're going to get this route, and I think we're going to get London Euston to Milton Keynes Central with the Class 350. I've just got a feeling, you know. I don't know what it is, but I've just got a feeling. So if we were going to get the West Coast Main Line South London Euston to Milton Keynes Central, obviously we'll have all these stations here, would have Tring services, maybe the St Albans branch, that'd be quite cool. Just ignore the Bedford branch, I just couldn't get rid of it. But if we're getting the West Coast Main Line South, I would be very excited indeed to see this, because this is a really, really highly requested route. It brings in the 350s, it could bring in the 390s, who knows, but I'd be very, very excited to see this. It's been high up on my list for a very, very long time. This route also includes the whole Watford DC line, so we're essentially getting two routes in one, really. You know, if they include the Bakerloo line stations, which I think 8 of them are on the West Coast Main Line, then, you know, we could see the whole Watford DC line, including the branch across to Watford High Street, and then we could also have the remainder of the West Coast Main Line up to Milton Keynes. It'd be an absolutely incredible route, and it'd be so busy, it'd be fantastic. Can you just imagine the 710s running alongside the 72 stock with some 350s, 390s and 66s? Oh, it'd just be absolutely incredible. I'd be so excited if this was the case. Obviously, we get the Class 350 because that does the majority of the runs. It does full line runs up to Milton Keynes. It does Tring services, obviously then goes up towards Birmingham and then Liverpool. I maybe would have liked to have seen the 350 introduced into another route, like a filler route, maybe like the Chase line, like I've mentioned, but you know, it's still a nice addition to the game. Here's a cheeky little screenshot from the TSC version, which is actually London Euston to Birmingham New Street. I don't imagine we'd see a route that long with that many stations in TrainsimWorld just yet, but if we did, I'd be very, very surprised. So yeah, the UK West Coast Main Line south would be London Euston to Milton Keynes Central, would be 50 miles and 28 stations, including all the Bakerloo line stations. If it didn't include the Bakerloo line stations and you couldn't access it in West Coast Main Line south, it'd have about 20 stations. Still a good amount of work though. And the rolling stock would be the London North Western Railway Class 350 and the EWS Class 66. Before I go on to some other speculation, just some honourable mentions for the North America, maybe the New Haven line and maybe the Lakeshore West line. I like the idea of the Lakeshore West line because obviously I don't have the Canadian route, so it'd be nice to see Canada in the game, and I think it's viable if they manage to get the licence for it, so I'm definitely keeping that as an honourable mention. As for mainland Europe, you know, Berlin S-Bahn would be cool to see, and the Paris Metro, you know, they're owned by a French company now in Focus, so it would be very nice to see that too. And for the UK, maybe the North Wales Main Line or Coastline or whatever you want to call it. I say it's an honourable mention, but watch this space. So what Loco DLCs do I think we could get in a deluxe edition? Let's talk about it. I'm going to keep this brief because I have talked about this in the previous speculation video, but I think we could see the 420, which is a project that TSG was doing. I can see them Dovetail picking that back up and then releasing it for the Filstalbahn, and then maybe doing a remaster of Schnellfahrstrecke Köln, because we were meant to get a whole new timetable for that and we never got it, so maybe that's a route that's getting remastered, and then this could also layer onto that, who knows. And of course for the West Coast Main Line, you need to have an Avanti West Coast Class 390, don't you? A Pendolino would sell like hotcakes. So yeah, my Loco predictions, DBBR 420 for the Filstalbahn can go on to Köln, and it can also go on to Munich Augsburg. And of course we've got the Avanti West Coast Class 390 for the UK, for the West Coast Main Line. You know, we could see that as AI on Birmingham Cross City if they was to do like a 730 pack and then bring the 350s into New Street. That would be incredible. We could also maybe see it on Cathcart Circle. They might have already, you know, weaved in a few of them and we just don't know about it because obviously we don't have any Avanti West Coast stock yet. Either way, I'd be very excited with both of them Loco DLCs, and I'd be very happy if they came as part of a deluxe edition because I don't expect two new Locos to be put into a new route straight away. That's a lot of work to do. So let's move on to some third parties. First off with Just Trains, let's talk about their TSW route. I had a few different ideas for what they could do, and we kind of know we're getting the Morecambe branch because they did a screenshot and it's already been pinned down to be the Morecambe branch, and I thought, well, that's near Lancaster, where could they go with it? And I did have a few ideas with it. I did initially think the Furness line, which would be Lancaster to Morecambe and then Lancaster to Barrow in Furness, which would be a really good route actually, and I would be happy to see that. But I did read the article again, and it does say many tens of miles, which to me alludes to quite a long route. And I think it could be West Coast Main Line over Shap, set in the 1980s, which would be Lancaster to Carlisle and Morecambe. I think Just Trains have got it in them, you know. I think they could pull this off. So here's the screenshot in question, and a lot of people have already pinned this down to being the Morecambe branch, which would veer off just north of Lancaster. Very good route if we got it, and you know, be a cool little branch line with some pacer services. The Loco I think we'll get with this is the Class 87. You know, it gives them a chance to bring in some high-speed electric running from the 1980s, which is something we don't have yet. I can see the selling point behind it. I also think Just Trains are going to be nice to us and layer it into Blackpool branches. How cool will that be as well? Of course, when I've read the article, it says that it's a very popular route, and West Coast Main Line over Shap set in the 70s or 80s is a very popular suggestion on the forums, and it's already a TSC route, so you know, if it exists in TSC, it's most likely going to come over to TSW at some point. So the Just Trains West Coast Main Line over Shap route would be Lancaster to Carlisle and Morecambe. I'd like for them to go from Preston, but I don't think they will. The route will be 72 miles and 8 stations. The reason why I think they can pull off such a long route is because maybe they have been working on this for the same amount of time they've been working on Blackpool branches, in the sense that, you know, they made Blackpool branches and West Coast Mainline over Shap at the same time. And, you know, they could have worked on this route for 2-3 years whilst they were also working on Blackpool branches. You never know. As I say, it's 8 stations, so there's not a lot of station work, which obviously if there's a low amount of stations, you can add more mileage. I often say that for every new station, you've got to knock off at least 1 or 2 miles of mileage. And as I've just mentioned, I think the rolling stock is going to be the BR Class 87, the brand new locomotive, and the BR Class 142, and I think they'll include the 142 as a base package. Yeah, I think this would be an absolute brilliant route if we got it, and it also gives us a chance for the Class 87 to be laid into West Coast Mainline South for some rail tour action. How cool would that be? Let's move on to the next third party that I think we could see an announcement from, and it's Alan Thompson's sim, and I think they're going to do the North Wales Mainline, Chester to Llandudno Junction. So here we go, this is most of the North Wales Mainline. Obviously you've got this section over here which goes across to Crewe down here. I've not included Crewe, I don't think they'll do Crewe, I'll be very surprised. The reason why I'm suggesting Chester to Llandudno Junction is because I think Crewe to Holyhead is way too long, it's about 115 miles, and I don't imagine that would happen. But Chester to Llandudno Junction kind of works. Obviously you've got the key station that is Chester, and then when you go across to Llandudno you've got the Blaenau Festiniog line. So, and it's also a junction station, so it's like a key station, and it's all like bang on halfway through. Also, it's an hour between Chester and Llandudno, and normally TSW routes are about an hour long. And with this route, I think we'll see the Avanti West Coast 221 Voyager. How cool would that be to have a Voyager in Train Sim World? It's highly requested loco, this. Now, the reason why I think we could see this route and we could see the Voyager is that they might pull off a similar stunt as TSG did with Niedertalbahn and Linker Rheinstrecke and release them around about the same time, and then obviously layer the stock from each route onto each other, so the Voyagers could go onto West Coast Mainline South and fill in the diesel running, which would be really cool. And obviously at Chester I don't think you'd see any 390s or 350s, but definitely I could see the 221 being on West Coast Mainline South. That would make a lot of sense. And obviously the Voyagers are super highly requested, although they stink. I don't like travelling on Voyagers. I travel on one every single day and I hate it. But they're cool looking, they're an icon of British Railways, so I definitely think we could see a Voyager. Obviously people would probably want to see the cross-country one, but I don't think we're going to get a cross-country licensed train anytime soon. So yeah, ATS's route, North Wales Mainline, Chester to Llandudno Junction, it'd be 44 miles and 8 stations, very much doable. A lot of third parties have done routes about that length with that amount of stations. I think we'll get the Avanti West Coast Class 221 as a new loco, and I think there'll be some 66 runs on this as well. Another good thing about this route is that there's a lot of potential for loco DLCs. You could have the Class 197 Transport for Wales livery, you could see the 158 if Skyhook was to make it, so there's a lot of opportunities for other bits of gameplay, so it makes sense to me. And on to the penultimate section of this video, some other predictions. So let's talk about some of the other games and other projects that we could see announced in Dovetail Direct. Just briefly on Train Sim World 5, like I said, more to Mainline screenshots and maybe a release date for the end of the year. I'm going to say around November to December 2024. I think we could see a release date for that. And I think we could see a new third party bringing in a new country. I'm going to say maybe like Australia or something like that. That'd be absolutely incredible. Going on to City Transport Simulator Tram, I think we'll finally get a console release date for maybe November to December 2024. They did say it's going to be later on this year. Once that game comes out, I'm very excited for it. I'm going to be playing it on the channel because obviously I'm a PS5 user, so I'll be very excited to see that. And on to other sort of projects. This new project that they're talking about, perhaps it's a new game. Maybe they're alluding to a new Train Sim World game. Maybe we could see a new train game, maybe a new simulator game. That'd be quite cool. There's also been talks that it could be a new board game. They could get a license from a different board game and make like a virtual version of it like they did with Catan. I've got a feeling we could see a new simulator of some kind. Maybe a bus sim, maybe like maybe like another tram sim. I don't know. It might not even be transport related. It might be some other simulator. We'll see what happens. But I'd be very excited to see what they announced. And that's it, that's all my predictions for Dovetail Direct. So on to my final thoughts. In fact, before we go into that, what do you want to see? Let me know in the comments. Let's start a discussion in the comments. What do you want to see? What routes do you want to see? What locos do you want to see? And what do you want this new project to be? Let me know down below. For my final thoughts, I'm very excited for this announcement and for this stream. I always get excited for this. Like last year when they did the Train Sim World 4 announcement, I was very excited for that. A lot of people are like quite skeptical because it's all like, oh, it's going to be the whole same thing. It's going to be Train Sim World 5 and loads of features and blah blah blah. But the fact that they blatantly said that there's some other stuff going on, it's going to be a little bit different. So a lot of us don't know what's going. Well, we all don't know what's going to happen. You know, it could be Train Sim World 5. We could see a Rush Hour 2.0. We could see something completely new. You know, we don't know, and that's quite exciting. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please smash that like button and subscribe if you're new. I hope you're looking forward to Dovetail Direct, because I certainly am. So I'll see you there in the chat, in the Discord, and wherever else. So yeah, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll hopefully see you all in the next one. Bye bye.